Oh, he's the Shove It Man!
Shove It Squad, I hope you all had a nice festive period. I can tell you that I had a horrible, vile time. I was forced to research Wes Briscoe matches, whilst the 8-year-old obese Indian boy punched me in the gut, whilst V and Fuso YouTube reruns were looped in my ear. Sounds like fun? It wasn't. Just a quick video today because I need to get my schedule back on track like a train. So don't moan, don't complain. And if you do, the hawk will screech in your ear and bring you pain. It's NWA TNA. This show is insane. Alright, starting out with the next division title match this week. The challenger is Elix Skipper and the defending champion is AJ Styles, who's accompanied by Jerry Lynn. They are tag team partners who don't get on, as demonstrated by them arguing on the way to the ring. Styles hits a kick and a neck breaker, and then he cripples Skipper with a clothesline. If AJ Styles and Jerry Lynn aren't getting on, why does AJ bother bringing him to the ring with him? AJ hits a kick in the corner. I've never seen him do that one before. Skipper finally hits a move on Styles as he nails a dragon suplex. Skipper then hits a headstand leg drop from the top. He can't keep Styles down for the free though. Skipper carries on trying to put Styles away with a gut wrench slam. Styles tries to recover with a kick, but Skipper blocks it and throws Styles through the air. Ouch. There's signs for this woman called Athena everywhere, but I've still not seen her on this show. And we're on episode 7 of TNA now, I believe. If she's so popular, why not show her on camera? Alright Hawkeye, stop complaining. In the ring, Skip hits a double underhook and locks the submission in, but Styles fights it off. Styles pulls off a painful submission out of nowhere, but somehow Skipper lives on. Styles misses a dive from the top, but he does manage to launch Skipper out of the ring. Styles then misses a moonsault off the apron to the outside, but Skipper counters that with a slingshot to the outside. Skipper gets him back in the ring and goes for his Player of the Day finisher, but Styles reverses it into a Styles Clash attempt. But Skipper reverses that. This match is getting crazy. Skipper runs and bounces off the ropes, but Styles catches him. Whatever he was going to go for, I'm sure it would have been great. He's wiped out, and Styles hits the spiral tap for the free. Lynn and Styles are best friends again after the match, and everyone's happy. Mike Tenay then announces that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is running the show tonight due to all the chaos on the last show. He also announces that Steamboat has made Malice give back Ken Shamrock's title that he stole last week. What on earth? That's anticlimactic. What was the point? What a waste of time. Apparently he's also lifted Slapnut's 60-day suspension, so he's basically the biggest heel on the roster at the moment. Monty Brown comes out next to beat up Elix Skipper because last week Skipper screwed him over. Monty hits a press into a fall-away slam. It looks cool, it's a bit like doing a military press at the gym, but I don't see how it would have been any more painful than just hitting a normal fall-away slam. He also hits the Alpha Bomb and then he leaves. The following segment is one of the craziest TNA segments I've seen of all time, so if you think it's stupid, don't blame me. Slapnuts comes out smiling and he's carrying a bag of potatoes. The bag of potatoes seems to be wriggling around. Why did they decide not to suspend this guy again? Jarrett reveals that there's a person in the sack. He says, I'm going to start by beating up a midget. He reveals the midget. Why is he topless? What is he doing? Why is Jarrett obsessed with midgets? Why is there a midget on every TNA show? Jarrett is threatening to beat up some more midgets and then the Psycho Dwarf midget comes out. Jarrett says that he's the Dwarf Destroyer and challenges the midget to a match. The midget calls him Slapnuts and then, oh my god, he pulls out a gun and threatens to shoot Jeff Jarrett in the kneecaps. Right, that's it, I'm done. What is this show all about? How do things like this make it on TNA? Last week he was pretending to pleasure himself in a bin and now he's going around with a gun. Unfortunately, he doesn't shoot Slapnuts and he hits him with a chair a few times. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat then appears on the ramp and says that this has to stop. Jarrett challenges Ricky to a match tonight and says that if he wins, he gets a title shot, but if he loses, he will accept his suspension for 60 days. Why not just suspend him as planned? The Dragon is up for it and I think we've got a match here. Wait, a man who looks like Elvis suddenly appears in the ring and he beats up Slapnuts and throws him out the ring. This man is Scott Hall and he challenges Jarrett to a stretcher match tonight. What on earth was that entire segment? Nothing made sense. I was just saying why, over and over again. Someone hit me with a brick. Backstage we cut to a close-up of Sonny Sayaki's ass. He's accusing Goldielocks of looking at his ass and says that he's given the other Flying Elvises the night off tonight. Next up it's Slash with Father James Mitchell and he's taking on Sonny. Don't look at my ass, Sayaki. Sayaki's just messing around, but he better take Slash seriously. He does start to realise he can't screw around with this guy and hits a Hurricanrana on Slash out of the ring. Back in the ring, Slash hits a final cut but can only get a 2 on Sayaki. Slash hits the Eye of the Storm that he calls the Slash and Burn. If this match carries on much longer, I'll definitely be doing one of those things. Both men fight on the top rope, but then they fall on their nutsacks, but Sayaki falls in the middle of the ring, and Slash goes for a senton bomb, but he misses it. Sayaki hits a beautiful pump handle suplex for a 2. James Mitchell gets involved, and Slash uses the distraction to put a bag over Sonny Sayaki's head, and then he hits a neck breaker, and it's over. What was the point in the hood? After the match, Mitchell wipes some blood from a box over Sayaki's face. Then, one of the Nazis randomly runs in. I'm not making this up, what am I reading? And he powerbombs Slash to 0 reaction. He's meant to be the head of security. Malice then runs out, but he's too scared to do anything. They really had something with Malice for the first few shows, but he's been destroyed now. It's a damn shame. Backstage, Ricky is being interviewed by Goldielocks. She asks him about all the chaos in Impact. For some reason, she has a top on with the dups on it. Ricky says that the NWA officials hired him to take control of TNA and set a good example. Well, he's doing a shocking job of that. The Truth is out next. He's yelling at one of the TNA cage dancers. This goes on for a while. He says that TNA have got her there against her will and says she's being exposed for money. Well, she's a cage dancer, that's kind of her line of business, don't you think? Truth asks her to speak up and then starts doing a high-voiced impression of her. He says that she belongs on a street corner, so she slaps him. Truth takes off his belt and goes to beat her, but Monty Brown jumps him. It doesn't last long and Truth knocks him out. Great job you're doing, Ricky Steamboat. Speaking of which, here he comes out to the ring. He tells Truth to tell us what all his angry promos have been about lately. Steamboat asks if he's angry about management or if it's a racism thing. Truth goes to answer, but instead he goes off on a tangent about WrestleMania 3 and he runs down the Intercontinental belt. I think he's trying to get at that the WWE held them both back, and that's a fair point. But how does that apply to people like the TNA cage dancer? Was she in WWE as well getting held back? Steamboat actually ends up siding with him as they agree that they both didn't get a chance at the top of the card. He gives Truth a shot for the NWA World title next week, and this causes Truth to dance with happiness. Truth starts rapping for the first time in TNA, and then he leaves. So I'm starting to think that Ricky the Dragon Steamboat is either a heel or he's stupid. Malice is out next with Father James Mitchell, but he should probably just give up for the week. For some reason he's taking on the undefeated Apollo.
The baddest, the biggest, the toughest, the number 2 man in the business.
The big boys fight around the outside of the ring for ages. Apollo is busted open and launches Malice at the ring barrier. This is how it should be done, it looks impactful. Back in the ring, Malice hits a big time powerbomb for just a 2 count. Malice gets another 2 on a suplex from the top. He then proves that he can fly with a leg drop. As I mentioned in my last video, Apollo doesn't exactly wrestle like a big guy, and he gets a 2 count with a nice pin that you'd expect a cruiserweight to do. Apollo wins the match with a super kick. That is it, Malice is officially done. He can attack the referee all he wants, but he's had more opportunities than anyone else on this show, and he loses every time. He tries to chokeslam Apollo, but for the second time tonight, a Nazi brother runs out to make the save. Slash of the New Church runs in and puts a bag over his head, and then he hits a neck breaker again. James Mitchell puts blood all over the Nazi's face. How ironic. Next up, Don West brings out a man in a blonde wig who is Miss TNA. Why are we still bothering with this? She's literally towering over Don West. Suddenly some music hits. 90% of you watching right now are straight. But there's 10% of you right now that might not be. And that's okay, because you're all watching me together. It's the Rainbow Express. Okay, not quite, it's just Bruce, but it still counts. He challenges her for the Miss TNA title. She jabs him in the nutsack and apparently this is now a match. The blonde man hits a suplex and also hits a scoop slam. She charges at him and knocks him down and we get a catfight spot. Great. Bruce misses a top rope leg drop and then he turns it around and drops her on her face. Bruce wins the match. He is now crowned Miss TNA. He's crying and thanking the Lord. Apparently these two were together in late WCW, and I couldn't care less. Let's move on as quickly as possible. Backstage, Goldielocks wants to interview Warrior, but he says that he doesn't talk, and he does his talking in the ring. You liar, you just talked. He's in a match next. It's Warrior versus Jerry Lynn, who is with AJ Styles. The match is ruined to start with because AJ Styles is on commentary, and he's terrible. It's a bit distracting. I was pretty bored until Jerry Lynn hits a lovely backbreaker. Low-Key does that cool submission move again and the fans love it. He should never have stopped doing this, it was over. Jerry Lynn hits the gory special but Low-Key kicks out. Low-Key and Jerry Lynn exchange kicks and punches, but Low-Key ends that conversation with a springboard kick. Low-Ki's kicking ability is causing big problems for Jerry, but he thinks he's won it when he hits a DDT from the top. The crowd are really behind Low-Ki and don't care about Jerry Lynn. Jerry's looking for a pile driver, but Low-Ki rolls at him and kicks him. He goes for the key crusher, but AJ Styles decides to get involved. He's on the ring apron and he kicks Jerry Lynn, and it seemed to be deliberate. The referee throws the match out and Low-Ki wins by DQ. We're in the back again and Goldielocks is backstage with the Nazi. God, this guy's getting a lot of TV time this week. He threatens Malice for next week and says he wants a first blood match. This is kind of why I've only done one episode on this video today. I've had a look at the rundown for next week. Jesus Christ, that's going to be a long video. Not only this, but we've got the Duck Cup. God, I'm not looking forward to that.
It feels like shit. Well then don't put it in your mouth, cause it's probably shit.
Next up is what you've all been waiting for. Well, maybe not. It's Disco Inferno with his show Jive Talking. He says he's looking to crown a Miss Jive Talking. Why doesn't Bruce just go for that one too? He says that his guest this week will expose her naked breasts and says that she's one sexy dumb girl, and then he brings out Goldielocks. She isn't happy about how Disco's been talking about her. They have an argument over whether or not he was insulting her. They talk a lot about her music and it's really, really boring. Goldielocks tries to put herself over and says her music's like Kid Rock. There's fake laughter and applause piped in, like a real talk show. Disco says he's tired of talking to her and it's time for her to show her breasts. I wish I was making this up. She doesn't want to do it though and the crowd boo. Or at least the crowd piping boos. I don't know if the real crowd booed. Goldielocks kicks him in the nutsack. Suddenly a giant Amazon woman appears and chokes her out. This is Paulina Gupta from the Tough Enough show. Don't get too familiar with her, she won't be around for long. Up next, Don West talks about the next week's show and he really sells TNA. I don't know how, but he made so much bad stuff sound good. Fair play to the guy. He's exhausted by the end of his statement and the audience give him a round of applause. They should have never released Don West. Scott Hall is out next, who's fighting Jeff Jarrett in a stretcher match for the main event. I've already covered this one in detail for my Scott Hall Ring of the Hawk episode, so I'll give you the abridged version. The stretcher is barely used in the match and it looks like a relic from World War II. The stretcher is a pointless gimmick anyway because it doesn't play into the finish of the match. Scott Hall has the match won, but Ron the Truth interferes. In fact, the whole roster get involved. People who have absolutely nothing to do with the match come down. Hall accidentally takes the referee out and Jeff Jarrett brings a steel chair in. Ricky the Dragon then stops him from using it and Jarrett hits himself with it. Scott Hall goes to use the chair himself, but Ricky also stops him from using it. And then Jarrett sneaks up and hits the stroke into the chair whilst Ricky is holding it. So Jarrett wins the match. It doesn't make sense though. If Ricky doesn't want them using the chair, why does he let the pinfall happen? And why did he take the chair off Jarrett in the first place if he's a heel? Who knows? Who cares? That's it for this week. And if you don't like it, I'll stab you with my beak.